Hi, everyone. Welcome to another segment of Wednesdays with Wendy. Thank you so much for being here. This is the last Wednesdays with Wendy of the year of 2020. I am really excited about that because I'm looking forward to what we have in store for you for 2021. Today, we do have a guest speaker. We have Cassie Butcher. She is a confidence and self-care coach. Cassie is the founder of her own brand, Cassie's Cure, where she teaches people how to practice self-care while building their self-confidence, which sounds amazing. I can't wait to get into that a little more. Through her brand, she hosts wellness retreats, quarterly self-love and self-care workshops and webinars, and facilitates an enriching self-care boot camp. Ooh, that sounds really interesting. Cassie is passionate about teaching people how to choose themselves first and love themselves better. So, with further ado, Miss Cassie Butcher, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me today. Oh my gosh, that bio you read was really nice.
Yes, it's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about your business and what you do and what motivated you to get involved in self-confidence and self-care?
Yes. Okay. So I don't want to repeat you, but yes, I do really focus on, really teaching people how to practice self-care and build their self-confidence because that was something that I had once struggled with myself. And I kind of just found, as I was struggling with my self-confidence and my self-care, I had to teach myself how to practice it and how to believe in myself. And I just remember being like, dang, that sucks that there's not really any programs around that kind of teach you how to do that, or no one's saying like, hey, take a you day. Like you're always really taught like, so whether it's working for someone else or like helping other people, but we really we put ourselves last a lot. And I think that puts us in situations that's detrimental to our mental health, our emotional health, spiritual and physical health. And so Cassie's Cure has been like a play on words because it's literally my cure. It's for me. It helps me, but I'm also helping other people. It's like, oh, it's my cure for you as well. And so really just getting into the realm of teaching people their own self-care, how to identify their own self-care regimen, making sure that they know it doesn't have to be a grand gesture because when you hear about self-care, people are always saying like, oh, that's candles, it's bubble baths, it's a nice light, it's a relaxing trip out of town.
Yeah.
And so for me, as I've gone on my self-care journey, I'm like, actually, no, sometimes self-care is putting my phone on do not disturb. It's ending friendship. It's literally just saying, you know what? No, I'm not going to force myself to work through this if I don't feel good. It's literally just those little small gestures, just taking care of myself and choosing myself first. And so when I got in the habit of doing that, I found so much more peace in my life. I wasn't living against this professional time clock in my head of like, you have to show up like this at work, or you have to show up like this every day. It was really like, hey, I'm going to show up me the way I am and how I feel, and I'm not going to feel bad for it. If someone says my attitude is off, okay, that's fine. Like today's just not my day, and I don't have to feel bad for not having a good day. And then the confidence piece, I think that like we're not taught how to be confident in ourselves. We learn so much in K through 12 or in college, if you go to college, but no one teaches you how to believe in yourself or how to have confidence in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, honestly, it doesn't matter if everyone else does. You will still sit there and be like, yeah, but how am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And everyone's like, you have the skills, and you're just like, no, I'm getting lucky. So really just kind of teaching people that aspect of believe in yourself. Like you really are a gift. What you offer to this world is needed. Like you have a specific purpose. And so just I saw the need for that in myself, my friend groups. And so that's when I started having my self-care boot camp and my wellness retreats. And I noticed people were like, oh my gosh, Cassie, I need this. Oh my gosh, you've helped me overcome so many insecurities. You've helped me set boundaries. You've helped me speak positive to myself. And once I started seeing that a lot more, I was like, okay, I need to make this more known because I want more people to feel this way. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's such a great explanation that it started with you first and you saw that you were able to make a difference and turn your life around, and then you offer that to other people. So do you believe that you have to be self-confident first before you can really start implementing self-care, or is it the other way around?
I think that I think it depends on the person, because I feel like some people find their confidence in practicing self-care.
Yeah.
And then I think some people find their self-care in practicing their self-confidence. So it's really, because I literally had both edges of the sword. And so what I'll do in my self-care boot camp is I give people that chance to identify where they are first. And the thing about confidence, I tell my clients all the time, a lack of self-confidence truly, to me, stems from a lack of resources. I have never met someone who has had all the resources that they need who didn't believe they could do something.
Right.
I've met plenty of people who have the resources and don't do it because they don't care or they're lazy. But I've never met someone who had every resource they needed to accomplish something that said, I still can't do it, you know?
Right.
And so what I try to do is teach people how to find those resources that they need that's going to boost their confidence. So if you are applying for a college program, okay, the kind of resources you need is someone to help you walk through your personal statement. You need someone who's going to tell you what the program looks like. You need someone who's going to tell you what you're going to have to do over the next few years. You need someone to say, oh, this is how the classes are. Like, once you have all that information, you start seeing, you know, I think I can do this. Like, now that I know.
Right.
So I really think a lack of confidence is, coincides with the lack of resources. And when you find the resources that you need, you're more willing to try something different. You're more sold in the idea of like, you know what, I could accomplish that. I can do that. So that's what I really try to teach in my self-care boot camp primarily.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. And when you talk about lack of resources, we just had a stress management workshop, and that's really stress when you have decreased resources, increased pressure, right? And you feel like you don't know what to do. But I also think it's important we teach our caregivers to, you know, give yourself time and space to process, to really understand what you have and what you need. And the next step is really finding those resources, right?
Yeah.
Feeding what you need to be successful. So I think that is awesome. What are some steps that people can take to try to figure that out if they're not really sure if, you know, if it's lack of confidence or lack of self-care? Do you have any tips for the people watching us today on how they can figure that out?
Yeah. Okay. So I think the first thing to do is really pay attention to the way you're talking to yourself. So whether I think because when I think of caregivers, I think sometimes, like, even as parents too, I will hear, I'll use mothers, for example. I'll hear them say, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for my child and I love being a mom, but it's just so much. And so I ask them, why do you preface this with, like, why do you feel like you have to tell me that you're grateful for being a mom in order to tell me that you're tired as hell?
Right.
And so I always tell them, like, yes, you before I think I've learned this with my mother, and I think that's what's made our relationship better. Before you're my mom, you're human.
Absolutely.
So before you're a mother, you're a human who gets tired, you have insecurities, you need personal space, you need alone time. And some mothers, they have kids and they feel wrong for being tired, or they feel wrong for having a long time. And I'm like, these were all emotions you had before you had a child. And depending on the person, you may have never been taught how to caregive for someone or how to raise a child. So you're stepping into this new lane and you're trying to get rid of your old thought process and your old mindset. And that's hard. That's so hard. Like, so you're still entitled to being tired. You're still entitled to not wanting to show up. It's okay. Now, I'm not saying just don't go and show up ever. Like Cassie said, I don't have to show up. It's perfectly fine. But what I'm saying is, do not beat yourself up for the way you feel at times about things. Because I feel like a lot of my clients, I've seen them, they beat themselves up for feeling their emotions. And emotions are fluid. Like, no one can, I've never met a person who has told me all my life I've been happy, never mad, never sad, never tired, never overwhelmed, never feeling like I'm defeated, never feeling down. I've never met that kind of person. So I try to tell people to, like, hey, embrace every emotion. Because I remember back in 2015, I went to therapy, and my therapist, and she told me, she said, Cassie, if you never allow yourself to feel true sadness, you will never feel true happiness, because they coincide. She's like, you have to experience one to be grateful for the other. And I was like, oh
Absolutely.
my gosh, that is so true. That is so true. So I would say that one of the first things to do is just acknowledge the way that you're talking to yourself, and assess that. Why are you talking to yourself this way? Like, who are you surrounding yourself with that makes you feel like if you say I'm tired and I don't want to do this, you're a monster?
Right.
Because here's the thing, if you don't take care of yourself, there's no way you're gonna be able to take care of anyone else. You can't, like, you can't give your all to someone else because you haven't given it to yourself first. You haven't paid attention to yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. So you're going to show up to that person, not 100% for sure. I don't know if you're going to show up 85, 70, 50, but you're going to show up with them. You're going to show up to them with as much energy as you're showing up with yourself. So if you feel like, oh, I'm being a shitty person to this person, it's because you're being a shitty person to yourself. Because when you're good to yourself, you exude that energy. You're like, I'm having a good day. I'm going to go bring good vibes over to you now because I have good vibes on my own. So I would really say, like, assess the way you talk to yourself, assess the way you're showing up. Pay attention to those who surround you, because you have those Debbie Downers. I hope no one's name is getting offended, whoever watching is named Debbie, but you have those people who are just like negative all the time. And sometimes you attract those people. I know I attract those people because they see the light in me, though. They're like, Cassie, oh my gosh, I want your positivity. And I'm like, great, that's amazing. But also I have to limit how much I hang out with you, because I don't want to become negative about my life. So it's like, yes, here's some of my energy, but I don't really want yours. I just want to influence you in a nice way. And then I can't stay here all day, every day, because then I'll start complaining about the small things. And I'm in a position to where I appreciate the small things.
Right.
So really just watching your audience and who you're around. And another tip, and I know I've given an earful, probably about 3 right now, but another tip is that if you do not enjoy what you're doing, stop doing it. Like, going home and complaining about it won't make a difference. Like, if you're like, I'm at my wit's end, let it go and don't feel bad about it. We feel bad when we quit stuff. I don't know why. Right. But our brain quits it, and our brain tells the truth. When our mind quits on something, it's like, I'm done. And then it's like our body that's still there. And your brain's like, body, catch up, please, because I'm ready to go. And so I would say that, like, I tell my clients in my self-care boot camp, like, imagine living, let's say, I don't know, 80, 90 years on this earth. And out of the 80 or 90 years, you've only been truly, genuinely happy 10 of those years. Like, that's so disrespectful to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you took the other 70 years and you said, I'm not going to choose you first. I'm going to do what society tells me. I'm going to think how they tell me. I'm going to work where they tell me to work because I got to make ends meet. Like, that's so disrespectful to yourself. Like, why not do things that you love, regardless if other people don't get it? I ventured out and started my own business, my own brand. Nobody in my family has ever done this. And my family is very supportive, but I know they don't get it at the same time. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm talking about what's important to me. Right. And it's funny to see my business and my brand grow, because now they're like, this is so amazing. This is so cool. I want to join your self-care boot camp. Like, you make me want to reevaluate my life. And I'm like, hop on board. We can do it together. Yeah. And so those people who are, I say that because those people who are closest to you, we want them to support us so bad. And we want them to support us because we're scared.
Right.
Our fear. So it's like, if I have at least my close friends telling me this is good, I'll do it. But no, you have to do it sometimes when no one's supporting you, and it's scary as hell. And the cool part about that is, if it doesn't work out, you already know what life is like without it.
Right.
Like, I know what my life is like without me coaching. It's my 9 to 5 that I also enjoy. But right. I know but if I would have never ventured into Cassie's Cure, I always would have wondered, what the hell would this be like? What I would have like, I wish I could, you know what I mean? But now that I'm doing it, it's like, I have my 9 to 5 and I have this. This is so amazing. It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Those are some great points that you touched on. You touched on a whole lot too. So that self-talk is definitely essential. And we talked about that being impeccable with your words. We just finished up a series with the 4 agreements. And the first one was being impeccable with your words. And, what I was saying was, it's important to be impeccable with your words to yourself, right? Because those words becomes your belief, becomes your behavior, and really impact how you show up in the world.
Yeah.
Right. So really understanding how you want to show up is definitely essential. And surrounding yourself with people who support you, who aren't going to drain your energy, is so important, because sometimes we can drain our own energy, right? By mentally just going around and around and around, exhausting ourselves. So we don't need people to do that. And you brought up another good point in terms of caregiving. If you don't want to do it, stop doing it. And I will add, that's when you reach out for help, reach out for
Mm-hmm.
assistance, let people know I need help. I can't do it
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And I
Yeah.
think many times we get caught up in how society looks at us when we talk about feeling tired and making excuses for the way we're feeling. But you are so right. We are people before we are caregivers, before we are mothers, before we are fathers, before we are whoever. We are caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to really understand what you need and what resources you need to help you enhance how you want to show up in the world. So those are great, great, great tips, Cassie. I love it. I love it. And it's a process. So you have to be patient with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people will always ask me though, like they ask me like, Cassie, how did you get to this point? And I'm like, y'all, this is like 5+ years of work.
Mhm.
This isn't overnight. And so I
Yeah.
tell people, my boot camp is 6 weeks, and we cover 6 different topics that I think is very vital to self-love and self-care and self-confidence. But I told them, like, don't just come here for 6 Sundays and like, oh, this is it. It's like, yo, this is a continuous thing that I'm teaching you to do, even when you're no longer in class with me, you're no longer around your cohort. So
Yeah.
I like to say, oh, like, I call them muscles. So I'm like, how are you exercising your self-care muscle? Are you exercising your self-love muscle? Are you exercising your self-confidence muscle? Because if not, it's going to show. You're not going to have no confidence. You're not going to be caring for
Yeah.
yourself. You're not going to be
Yeah.
talking to yourself in a way that shows that you love yourself. So I'm going to know if you're exercising these muscles or not. And every time my
Right.
students are, the people, my clients are like, oh my gosh, you're so right. It's so true. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that support, accountability, and community is essential for, exercising that muscle. And I tell people all the time, it's a process. So these programs, like we just started a stress management program that's 12 weeks, but it's a process. It's not like a one and done, and you need the accountability. So like even your boot camp coming every 6 weeks is essential, right? Because they know you're going to hold them accountable, right? Are you exercising that muscle? So when you're not with me, you need to be exercising that muscle. Unless I'm going to be able to find out, right? If you're not practicing your self-care,
Right.
your self-love. So that is awesome, Cassie. I love it. I love it. So before we wrap up here, do you have any last words for our audience who may be watching tonight?
Yeah, I think primarily I just want to say that if you don't know how to practice self-care, if you don't know how to love yourself better or choose yourself first or set boundaries, I think that give yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up about it. I meet a lot of people who come and do my program, and they're like embarrassed to tell me that they haven't practiced self-care in months. And I always tell them, like, you're not taught. You're not taught until you come to my program, essentially. Or like go to therapy or something. So I think that, like, don't beat yourself up for the things that you're lacking. But I will say that, like, I mean, we can use 2021, but even starting today, like, tapping into this live was a form of self-care for you. If you took something away from it, I hope so. And so I would say start small. Whether that's you like picking a day of the week that you're like, that's going to be my day. I'm going to choose whoever I talk to on that. My day is Sundays. So that's when I go treat myself to a smoothie. And literally, I'm very peculiar about who I interact with on Sundays. Like, everyone who knows me, who's close to me, they're like, I know it's your day. Can I talk? Like, they ask me before they, and if I can't do my Sunday, they will even, I allot myself an hour on Mondays. Mondays between 3 and 4, that's my hour. And I choose whether I want to be on social media, I want to text, I want to nap, I want to meditate. There's too many hours in a week for you not to give yourself at least one of them.
Yeah.
There's also too many days for you not to give yourself at least one of them. So I would say, if I could leave you out with anything, it's to spend more time with yourself, to learn yourself, so you can learn how to practice self-care and love yourself better and speak to yourself better.
Awesome. That is right on the money. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, Cassie, this has been great. We have to bring you back. I love the energy. The chat is booming. They love your energy too. So we will definitely bring you back. But thank you. No, you can't. So you'll have to go on and look at the chats. I'll send them to you. I don't think you're on Facebook, right? Or YouTube. You can go YouTube or Facebook. You can actually see the chat. Cassie, are you frozen? I think you are frozen, but we are wrapping up. Thank you all for joining us today. I appreciate you. Have a great new year, and I look forward to seeing you all next week in 2020. Bye, everyone.